On the contrary, this whole Adani episode and just how quickly global sentiment will subside and bounce back on India will prove only one thing: the resilience of the Indian economy, the solidity of the Indian economy, the prospects of the Indian economy. So this entire Adani episode in a way proves to be a testament to the India growth story. Not an impediment, not a blur, not a blemish. This has actually ended up helping the Modi government. It has, liptards, relax, your BP is going up, but it has. We can't take the focus away from Adani either. Adani is on free fall. And even the most basic business mind.
From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for The Debate.
The Debate at 10, powered by Century ProWood and Panasonic, co-powered by Tata Motors.
Ladies and gentlemen, two power-packed debate at 10 p.m. and at 10:30. Starting off this big debate tonight at 10 p.m. is the global narrative debate. India is undoubtedly making strides globally. Top world leaders are looking towards India. Chinese foreign minister paid a visit to India. Italian prime minister was in India. We held a quad meeting. And now the Australian prime minister is all set to watch a cricket match with Prime Minister Modi. Now, what does this essentially mean for India in a changing world order? And let's not forget, in just about 1 week, 33 bilaterals have essentially taken place. New Delhi has now found its moment under the sun. What's important to point out here is that for a very long time, New Delhi did not want to assert itself. Today, not only are we asserting ourselves, but also we are building that global narrative. And why is it that a select few still have a problem with the fact that we're being able to navigate ourselves at a time when the global world order is only collapsing? It's no longer a bipolar or a unipolar world order. We're talking about a multipolar world order in which India plays a very crucial role. And we'll tell you why. How exactly does India play that role, and why exactly a select few people in our country are still very upset with this particular seat that has been given to India at the global high table. Take a look at the recent diplomatic interactions and then we debate.
The Prime Minister of Australia has landed in India. He's all set to begin his 4-day visit and will watch the cricket match with Prime Minister Modi in Ahmedabad tomorrow. The visit is of immense diplomatic significance, especially given to the Quad meeting last week. The 33 bilaterals India has already held.
I met Minister Chingang on the sidelines of the conference this afternoon. It's our first meeting after he took over as foreign minister. So we spent, I don't know, maybe about 45 minutes talking to each other. And the bulk of our conversation, understandably, was about the current state of our relationship.
The G20 foreign ministers meeting.
All of us, individually and collectively, have an obligation to contribute to international growth and prosperity. They are implemented through sustainable partnerships and goodwill initiatives. On its part, India has undertaken development projects in 78 countries and has actively encouraged exchanges and capability building.
It is a new form of uncompromising diplomacy from a place of strength.
We must all acknowledge that multilateralism is in crisis today. After years of progress, we are at risk today of moving back on the sustainable development goals. Many developing countries are struggling with unsustainable debt while trying to ensure food and energy security for their people. This is why India's G20 presidency has tried to give a voice to the global south. No group can claim global leadership without listening to those most affected by its decisions.
Has India's global outreach secured a key position for the nation in the global world order? Let's debate.
Viewers, would I be really wrong if I say that today India is actually leading the global agenda? And Ashok Sajjana, tell me if I'm wrong. When you have the German Chancellor at the Munich Security Council essentially quotes the External Affairs Minister and says that this Eurocentric mindset of the global politics one should essentially discard. When the G20 communique essentially quotes the Prime Minister of that appeal that was made by the Prime Minister to President Putin, that this is not an era of war. And when the UNGA President salutes India's commitment to rescue citizens and humanitarian aid, then am I really wrong to say that yes, finally, for New Delhi, this is the moment under the sun?
I would tend to agree with you. I think, there are a large number of factors, some of them you have related just now, but over the last year or even more, there has been a congruence of a large number of factors which has really pushed India onto the leadership and on the global stage and to set the agenda on the global stage. The first, of course, is in terms of India's presidency of the G20. Now, this is a forum, 20 largest, most important, most consequential economies of the world. And they set the direction, they set the agenda. And it is particularly significant that India is occupying this position when there is so much of turbulence, volatility, and uncertainty in the world. And, the meetings that have been organized... Yes. Yeah, please.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but, I was just going through some of the reactions that are essentially coming in. And people are not really talking about this. Imagine a situation today. And in fact, if we have that image of Secretary Blinken meeting Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov for the first time since the war began, enabling this in a forum that India has essentially always advocated. Shikha, imagine a situation from the time that the war actually began in Ukraine, both sides, the United States of America and Russia, could not come face to face. But it was here in New Delhi, the G20 forum that allowed enabling that entire atmosphere for both warring sides coming together. And that's the position that we are taking right now. But we see Rahul Gandhi essentially now going to London and essentially saying that democracy is dead. No one takes us very seriously. If that is the case, Shikha, please tell me, how exactly does this really happen? 33 bilaterals in just 1 week? And then you have the German Chancellor also going on record saying that this is the position that one should be taking.
I haven't fully understood your question. There is something, I can't connect your question to the facts. 33 bilateral agreements, right. A meeting of the Quad in Delhi, great.
I don't see.
The G20,
can I just make it much? Can I simplify this for you, Shikha?
Let me just get my facts straight because I'm feeling a little confused. At the G20 foreign ministers meet, where Lavrov and Blinken, Secretary of State Blinken, Minister Lavrov both meet. So what is your question to me?
Because what I don't understand is that the opposition parties, and specifically those who have been criticizing the government, saying that, look here, our foreign policies are in absolute doldrums. The question is for those that why exactly will you not recognize the fact that this is our moment under the sun? Why is it so very difficult to accept the fact that finally India is being able to course that entire narrative, bring together that entire narrative, push that narrative?
Well, I think that, you know, if you're going by facts and if you're going by what the world opinion is, there is certainly an element. There are certainly voices and significant voices that are critical of India's position and of India's policies, as it were, in the foreign space, in foreign affairs, on a variety of issues.
But Shikha, can we be a little bit more specific?
Yes,
can we be a little specific?
I'm going to be
I gave you specific examples. You're talking about criticism on specific indexes. What are the indexes that you're saying on which that they have been, that India is now being criticized, and who exactly is criticizing? Why don't you tell us in specific?
Well, I think you would find that there is a great deal of criticism about India's position on how it has been handling the Ukraine crisis. It has maintained that it will, it's been abstaining. There is also a lot of media criticism as well as of foreign experts.
Which
foreign
media?
Experts.
What I don't know.
Sorry?
Pathikrit is also, let me break it. Pathikrit is also someone who keeps a close watch on global media. Now,
sorry?
Shikha, I gave you the opportunity. I'm asking you very specific. You are essentially saying that there was a significant amount of criticism that India had to face as far as its position on Ukraine war is concerned. In fact, I would say that almost even Japan for that matter, even Japan, Quad has also made it abundantly clear that we accept India's position. I don't see a problem. If you're talking about the Western media, which obviously does not want to talk about India's growth, there is a problem. Pathikrit Pen will actually tell you why there is a biasness towards India's position. Now, what should have been lauded? What should have essentially been lauded? Pathikrit, please tell me, should on India's position, in fact, Japan has now gone on record to say that we accept India's position. Look at what is Australia's position on this entire matter. What is it that Australia had to say as far as India's take on Ukraine war is concerned? Pathikrit, why don't you respond?
It does not mean that people cannot be critical. I do not understand why
first of all,
India, which is such a
Indian foreign minister, ma'am, can I speak? My name is Pathikrit, not yours. Ma'am, can I speak? Ma'am, can I speak? Ma'am, your name is not Pathikrit. Can I speak, ma'am? Last year, when
you are free to speak, but I'm not understanding what this is all about.
No, you are free to then. Let this time and just stop after that. Our last year, when India's foreign minister went to Europe and he said that Europe must stop presuming that Europe's problems are the world's problems and the world's problems are not Europe's problems, Europe was very critical at that. And today, the German ambassador said that it's none of our concern. It's all Russia. It is a tacit understanding and acceptance that India's independent foreign policy, where India said that we cannot accept all the sanctions because I have to take care of my own people, has been vindicated. And India saved 35,000 crore in the first 6 months only by taking oil from Russia, and that has been vindicated. Secondly, the IMF managing director said that India is a bright spot in a dark horizon at a time when there is huge amount of tumultuous situation going on. India has emerged as the 5th largest economy in the world with record foreign exchange.
I want to understand then, Sumansi Raman.
Export last year of
Pathikrit, you made your point very clear. You've made your point very clear. I want to understand. Sumansi Raman. Now, what we don't understand, Pathikrit, I want to still understand this entire criticism that the opposition parties, or for that matter, select few like Shikha, were saying that why shouldn't we criticize the government? Feel free, please go ahead, feel free and criticize the government. But when things are happening in the right direction, why should we be so very queasy, Sumansi Raman, that today we've been able to tread the fault lines, which isn't very easy. As far as foreign policy is geopolitics is concerned, a week is also a very long time. But having said that, imagine a situation. How many countries have been able to tread the fault lines today, and especially keeping in mind that, we talk about global governance, as the Prime Minister says, the global governance today is dead. In that kind of a position, why is it so very difficult, Sumansi Raman, to accept the fact that, yes, we've been able to now come to a position where we are taken very seriously? There was a point in time we were seen as an irritant. We were largely seen as irritant. But today we are no longer seen as an irritant. Our views on various matters do matter.
Yeah, my question is very simple.
Sumansi Raman.
Prime ministers and presidents have visited India in the past from all over the world. It is not some unique occurrence which is happening only now. Second, very importantly, what has this quote unquote global outreach resulted in net for India? Now, I think that is the bottom line. When the Chinese incursions happened,
Sumansi
no
Raman,
one actually spoke
tonight
up.
I want to get into very specific. I want to get into specifics. Let's not get into rhetoric, and then I want Sanju to respond to this.
No.
Sumansi Raman, just two things I want.
Talking about specifics. I've spoken two sentences.
Sanju is there to respond to that question. 1 minute, Sumansi Raman. My only request to all those on the other side of the aisle. 1 minute, Sumansi Raman. I'll keep it a little bit more specific. I don't want to get into rhetoric right now. Give me two specific. You're saying net, what does it really result? What does it really yield? Give me two specifics where you feel that it has not resulted in something. Give me a concrete answer. Two specific issues which I will
give you an example of how the previous UPA government got the Indo-US nuclear deal. Now, that was something which was formed on the basis of a relationship that was built with the George W. Bush administration. And Dr. Manmohan Singh was a very, very respected, global leader. And that relationship was built. In fact, President Obama is on record as saying that, he deferred to Dr. Singh's wise counsel. So I think that we have to understand that there are...
Do you believe in what Rahul Gandhi had to say
there
in
are
London? Now, Sanju wants to come in.
May I please? Thank you, Suman. Thank you.
Okay. Sanju, Sumansi Raman, Shikha, and all are saying, why this brouhaha about this entire global outreach? For someone who's covered the Ukraine war, I can actually tell, our audience that why this entire position that India has taken today, so much so, even the United States, just take a look at what the United States just about a few days ago had to say as far as our buying Russian oil is concerned. For all those who do not know, Sanju Verma wants to now come in. She's actually going to tell you, Sumansi Raman, why we've actually managed to do the unthinkable.
Thank you. Shravan, first and foremost, what I like about today's debate is that you're keeping it to specifics rather than generics and rhetoric. And I'll tell you why, Prime Minister Modi's global outreach, which is what the topic of your debate is working well and fine. Let's not forget that you can't brush off the G20 presidency of India as a routine affair. We all know that 85% of global GDP, 75% of global trade, and 66% of global population currently resides within the G20 community. So for us to have the G20 presidency at a time when there are so many geopolitical challenges speaks volumes about Prime Minister Modi's leadership, point number one. Point number two, if I just take you back, I did not heckle you, Sumansi Raman, please.
No, madam, it came by rotation. You're talking about...
No one is... let's not do it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be very clear. We are not going to talk over each other. No, one second, Sumansi Raman, I made it very clear. I made it very clear at the start of the debate. I'm not letting anyone... No, 1 second. Sumansi Raman and others. I'm not letting anyone speak over the other. I'm talking about specific issues. She's already told you why as far as G20 becomes important. And now, Sanju Verma, please complete your statement and then I'll take it to the Congress for responding. But specifics.
Thank you.
We'll stick to specifics and no one talks over the other.
Apart from the G20 presidency, okay, fine if, the Congress and the likes of Sumansi Raman are saying it happens by rotation. But let me tell you another very interesting thing. It was Prime Minister Modi who in November 2015, along with the French president then, forged the International Solar Alliance, and 123 countries were signatories to this historic agreement at climate change mitigation. Then you had the COP26 at Glasgow in October 2021. A lot of historic agreements signed where we decided to become a net zero carbon emission country with respect to railways by 2030 and overall as an economy by 2070. Prime Minister Modi was the first Prime Minister in 70 years to visit Israel in 2017, and he de-hyphenated our foreign policy with respect to Israel and Palestine, which no Prime Minister or his predecessor had done in 7 decades. And I'll tell you one more thing. Our non-permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council started in January 2021. It just got over. And 184 out of 192 countries voted in favor of India when we got the mantle of the non-permanent chair of the UNSC, which means 96% plus of the UNSC countries voted in favor of India's leadership at the UNSC. And I'll tell you something else. Okay. Shravan made a very interesting argument about Russian oil. I'll just finish with this. You look at 2015 Operation Rahat, where we rescued more than 6,000 people, including people from over 43 nations. You look at Operation Vande Bharat, where we rescued people from more than 150 countries at the height of the COVID first and COVID second wave. You look at Operation Devi Shakti, when we rescued people from different communities when the Taliban took over Afghanistan. You look at Operation Ganga, where we rescued not only our students who were stranded, but even students from other communities. So, if you look at the entire approach of the Modi government, it is based on mapping of global skills, climate mitigation reduction, skills enhancement, giving a boost to Atmanirbhar Bharat. Don't forget that, one of the largest chopper manufacturing facilities in Asia is coming up in Karnataka, and it will be made operational by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Don't forget that today Samsung has its largest facility in the world in Noida. Don't forget Amazon has its largest facility in Hyderabad. Thanks to Prime Minister Modi's global outreach, making the ecosystem very investor friendly.
One more aspect. One more aspect. Sanju Verma, Ashok Sajjanar, I'm sure you will understand this. Lokesh Jindal, imagine this, which I think so a lot of us have not really focused on. India is the chair of both the United States or whatever West-led G20, the China-centered SCO, and we are managing it very beautifully. Did anyone actually ponder upon this thought? On the one hand, you talk about G20, which is very West-dominated, West-oriented. And on the other hand, as far as China is concerned, when the world seems to be whimpering around, India has very successfully been, what I say, treading the fault lines. And I think so people like Mr. Sajjanar will be able to elaborate, but Lokesh Jindal, I want to now take to the other aspect. Sanju has very brilliantly pointed out why exactly are we saying that we need to celebrate this? We need to celebrate the position that we are in today. Lokesh Jindal, I'll tell you why there is a problem. There is a problem when the opposition party says that we have the right to criticize it. Feel free. You want to go to London and then say democracy is dead, but please, can you actually remind your leader that when there was a PLA platoon, I'm just giving you the full story, PLA platoon set up a camp 30 kilometers south of Daulat Beg Oldi, the then Prime Minister very meekly said, India and China have historical issues and there are areas of concern. Today, your leader goes there and says that, okay, Jaishankar does not understand China. Jaishankar does not understand the threat of China. And can you please tell me, at that point in time, did you really understand any threat when there was a goddamn PLA platoon camp 30 kilometers closer? That time, Lokesh Jindal, you did not see the threat?
Okay, good evening, everybody.
And that same China today, let's not forget, did you actually hear what the new Chinese foreign minister had to say? The Chinese foreign minister was lambasting the United States of America, but did not say a word. Did not say a word as far as India is concerned. So much so, surprisingly, Sanju Verma, I was surprised this morning when I see the Global Times headlines. India-Australia ties should not be affected by West's hype of China threat. Global Times is saying that because why?
Exactly.
The Australian Prime Minister is. Lokesh Jindal, I don't want to take it any further. Why don't you respond to this? Imagine this is the situation.
Everybody.
Global Times has to say this.
Yes. First of all, let us understand that India is geostrategically important because it's the only country in the world that has an entire ocean to its name. There is a reason, because it shares such a large coastline. It has 1/6 of humanity, and it is diverse. The entire Indian subcontinent is dominated by India. It is geographically India's importance. It is not with respect to one individual's personality or one individual political party, which is responsible for this geostrategic location that India enjoys. So first, let us have this clear that India will be a very important nation in the global politics in time to come. It has been in the past, it will be in the present, and it will be in the future as well. So it is very much clear that the entire globe will always look up to India with respect to the global politics. Secondly, when you have talked about the present state of affairs that are happening, especially with respect to G20, so G20 as
so what
an
I want to understand, Lokesh Jindal, where what you're pointing out, I think that Sanju can do that. Sanju has done it. What I want to understand from you, where lies the problem? Where do you see that India is essentially faltering because your leader?
G20.
It's very contrary. I think that you should go and tell your leader who's on a global outreach program. Rahul Gandhi is right now on a global outreach program. You can go and explain this to him. I'm quite surprised that the Congress leader is actually saying this. But please tell me, if that's the position of your party, where lies the problem?
One individual. Now, see, the point is, when I'm talking about India and its geostrategic
I'm not confusing.
I'm simply telling
your leader,
you about a nation.
Lokesh Jindal, I'm talking about your leader's position on this matter. I'm just reminding you.
Our leader's position has
I'm sorry,
been very
I
clear.
forgot.
He states
Are you disowning Rahul Gandhi now?
Important geostrategically important
Are you disowning
nation,
Rahul Gandhi? Did I get it wrong?
Policy which is not in sync.
So please tell me. I think so. For a moment, I thought Sanju Verma was speaking because India is going to be in that.
If you allow me to complete what I'm
everyone is going to look forward to Sanju's position. But I want to understand because Rahul Gandhi is very unhappy. I want to understand why. Where is the sense? Where is the sense of discontentment so much? Where is it coming from?
Because when you're talking about G20, you don't even talk what the G20 stands for. G20 stands for International Financial Stability. But tell me one thing, has the government taken any steps, even after the Hindenburg report, it has revealed what forms of frivolous transactions are taking place in private companies.
I just have 30 seconds each. 30 seconds, Sanju Verma and Ashok Sajjanar. Ashok Sajjanar first goes. Sanju Verma, just allow Mr. Sajjanar to come in. He's been waiting patiently. And then final word, Sanju Verma, you can close. But Mr. Sajjanar, are we going to now define George Soros and Hindenburg research is going to basically now define how our foreign policy is going to look like? I don't know. Please correct me. I am not that knowledgeable, Mr. Sajjanar, that if Hindenburg research should be basically outlaying our foreign policy. But Mr. Sajjanar, you are a diplomat. You would understand it better. Perhaps even Mr. Jindal would understand it better. But I think
thank you very much. Yeah, I think Hindenburg report is not material to our discussions here today. I think the action that needs to be taken on the Hindenburg report is being taken by SEBI, and they'll do whatever really needs to be done. But let me sort of, just reiterate this, that as far as India is concerned, as Pathik just now mentioned, all the leaders of the different international financial organizations, whether it is the World Bank or it is the UNDP or it is the International Monetary Fund, they have all maintained that while the other countries of the world have not been able to deal effectively with the challenge of COVID-19, India is the bright spot. While there is gloom and darkness everywhere,
Mr. Sajjanar, I'm sorry.
Bright spot. It is fifth largest economy now. It's very
absolutely. I totally agree. India is at that bright spot. Mr. Sajjanar, we would love to continue this, but I just want to give 30 seconds final word to Sanju Verma, and then we close the debate. We have another very interesting debate lined up as far as the Northeast is concerned. Sanju Verma, a quick last rebuttal as far as what Lokesh had to say. 30 seconds.
I believe the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And if you look at the average foreign direct investment inflow from some of the biggest global investors into India in the last 3 years. Every single year, we've been raking in more than 75 to 80 billion dollars. And in the last 8.5 odd years, more than 540 billion dollars worth of foreign direct investment. Even after, RBI's intervention, our forex reserves are well in excess of $565 billion. In ease of doing business, we've improved from a rank of 142 in 2013 to just 63 now, which is up 79 notches. In ease of manufacturing, we are the number 2 after China, ahead of the US. So please don't sit here and give a bhashan to the Modi government. As I said, the best statement came from Bob Sternfeld,
well,
the head of McKinsey.
There was an earnest attempt, Sanju Verma, earnest attempt that we made tonight. Patikrit, I'm sorry. Patikrit, I'm sorry. I apologize to some of my guests whom we couldn't come very frequently, but an earnest attempt was essentially made to understand where lies the problem and what is it that we have achieved so far. There are miles to go, but having said that, I think a lot has also been achieved and we ought to celebrate that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Now, over to the other big debate that we are getting to you tonight. That's on regarding the Northeast. Now, what's very important to point out here is that the North